Does your furry friend take over your bed every night? It's time to reclaim your space while giving them the comfort they deserve with the coldest, cozy dog bed. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description to buy now on Amazon.
Labor released 5,500 prisoners early over 2 months in response to overcrowding in the country's jails, the Justice Secretary announced today. Shabana Mahmood claimed the government had no option but to make the deeply controversial move, warning that prisons would be overflowing by September at the current rate. Ministers have already been accused of taking a dangerous gamble with public safety after announcing a plan to automatically free inmates after serving 40% of their sentence, rather than the current 50%. None of the early release schemes will apply to violent offenders serving more than 4 years, sex offenders, terrorists, or those in prison for crimes connected to domestic abuse. Dangerous offenders serving extended or life sentences are also exempted. In a statement to the Commons, Ms. Mahmood said, "It is now clear that by September of this year our prisons will overflow. That means there is only one way to avert disaster. Those serving eligible standard determinate sentences will leave prison after serving 40% rather than 50% of their sentence in custody and the rest on license. Our impact assessment estimates that around 5,500 offenders will be released in September and October. From that time until we are able to reverse this emergency measure, 40% will be the new point of automatic release for eligible standard determinate sentences. The government does not take this decision lightly, but to disguise reality and delay any further as the last government did is unconscionable." The Justice Secretary said the government would conduct a review into the prison capacity crisis, as she accused the Tories of placing the public in grave danger. She told the Commons, in a speech last week, "I called the last occupants of Downing Street, the guilty men. I did not use that analogy flippantly. I believe they placed the country in grave danger. Their legacy is a prison system in crisis, moments from catastrophic disaster. It was only by pure luck and the heroic efforts of prison and probation staff that disaster did not strike while they were in office. At least 1,000 new trainee probation officers will be recruited by the end of March 2025, according to Ms. Mahmood. The measures set out by the government will be reviewed in 18 months' time." Shadow Justice Secretary Edward Arger branded the government's plans to reform the planning process with the aim of building more prisons as a gimmick. Speaking in the Commons, the Tory former prisons minister said, "We set in train the biggest prison building program since the Victorian era, over 13,000 additional prison places delivered in government, 2 new prisons open, 1 being built, 2 with planning permission, and 1 on the cusp of a decision. So I do have to say, her party's planning permission proposal for prisons wouldn't impact on any of these. In that respect it is simply a gimmick." He added that he has significant public protection concerns over the announcement, adding, "Can she confirm that domestic abusers convicted of say common assault, as is often the case, would in fact not be exempt from this policy?" In response, Ms. Mahmood accused Mr. Arger of attempting to gloss over many years of failure on planning by the previous government. She added that the government has taken every precaution and every option available to us to exclude sentences connected to domestic abuse, including breaches of a non-molestation order, stalking, breaching of a restraining order and strangulation or suffocation. Last October, Conservative ministers introduced a scheme allowing inmates serving up to 4 years in jail to be released early. By May the maximum discount had been increased to 70 days. Lower-level violence criminals were eligible under the scheme, but the Ministry of Justice, MOJ, has refused to release details of the numbers and types of offenders who have been released. The prison population in England and Wales stood at 87,505 on July 12, close to the record high of 88,000 in 2011. By comparison, the number was 44,000 when then Conservative Home Secretary Michael Howard delivered his famous prison work speech, championing use of custodial sentences, in 1993. MOJ data says the usable operational capacity in the jails is 88,864, indicating about 1,400 spaces are available. However, some of these will be in women's or open prisons, will